Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and I'm here today to talk to you about Goosebumps The Vanishing. This is season 2 of Disney Plus series. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I'm done. I should have learned my lesson after season 1. Season 2 somehow turned out to be more terrible than that of season 1. How the heck is that even possible? And to be completely honest, now that I've seen, well, here's the thing, right? I'm just recording my intro right now because I'm only on episode 4, but halfway through it. I'm at the point where the kids just got out the elevator and the monster blood blob thing, like almost like got her, right? I'm gonna watch the rest and I'm gonna finish the series too. But I just want to get the intro out first. Like what did I'm sorry, but after watching just a couple of episodes, I will never complain about season 1 of Disney Plus Goosebumps ever again. Well, at least not in a hard kind of way. Because season 1 was not that good. There were a few episodes in season 1 I liked, and there were some concepts that I did like. I liked, for the most part, the cast, like most of the cast and everything. There were 2 that was just like really annoying. Sorry about that, my camera died. But like, yeah, there was a couple of characters I liked in season 1. Or there were like 2 I didn't like because they were just so annoying. But like, season 1 is not superior by no means, but at least it tried to be Goosebumps, and at least it tried to implicate elements of the actual books while also combining it into a YA novel type series. But it was not perfect. This season, on the other hand, just said F all that. We're just going to do our own thing and we'll incorporate the monsters in a very blah, non-impressive, low budget kind of way. Because I'm telling you this right here, right now. Some of the CGI sucks this season. It's like their budget got reduced. And I bet you it did because there are now 8 episodes instead of 10, and they dropped it all in one day. They dropped it yesterday. I would have watched it yesterday, but I was binging another show. Well, 2 shows actually. And so I'm waiting in a while and stuff like that. I was going to finish watching the rest because in season 1, they dropped every episode per week. They knew they had a stinker on their hands this season and just dropped the entire thing at once. Now, here's the thing, right? If this series was not called Goosebumps, would I still like season 2? Hell no, because it just sucks. There's nothing spooky about it. There's nothing that is scary about it. When they supposed to do the bump in the night type stuff, because you're bored all through the rest of the episode and the characters are just awful and everything, you don't really care. Like when the mud monster came, I didn't care. It was nothing scary and the costume sucked. When the car got possessed and they started driving all crazy and the girl was in the car screaming, I didn't care because the chase scene was not that impressive. And nobody was on the road and the choreography was just terrible. When, like, the plant started to come alive and wrap around the dude's head and dragged him into the sewer, I was invested, but then they ruined it. Then when the monster blood supposedly is supposed to be monster blood, instead, it's actually the blob for the most part, but without the eyes. And I'm just kind of like, no. And it's just like the CGI sucks. And it's like, no. Like, just no. Just no. You don't understand, people. I'm a goosebumper for life. I love the books. I love the television series. I surprisingly love the movies and stuff. That first movie had no business being as good as it was. Then the second movie was all right, but the Disney Plus / Sony like Goosebumps is garbage. I'm sorry, this season is more YA novel stuff than the last season was. The cast is more cringy than the first cast was. The monsters are barely there. And why are they even incorporating the monsters and naming the episodes after the books if they don't really do what the books do? They don't even come close to what the books are doing. And the one big offense I had was Stay Out the Basement, the two-parter first episode, because if you ever watch any of my Goosebumps reviews, you know for a fact Stay Out the Basement is one of my all-time favorite episodes. It's probably my number one episode next to The Haunted Mask. The fact they butchered that in the way that they did. And I was all like, maybe they're gonna do good by this. It's gonna be a two-parter, just like the original Stay Out the Basement episode was. Maybe they're gonna do good by this, and it could be kind of like a movie since it's gonna be 2 hours long. Boy, was I disappointed. I was frustrated. I was pissed off. Like, you have no idea how irate I am. I told myself I wasn't gonna rant in like a shouty kind of way, and I'm trying to keep my voice down, but I want to shout very badly right now. They completely pissed all over that episode to where the plants aren't even really the villain in that episode. And then all of a sudden, the mud monster from You Can't Scare Me was actually the main villain in the second parter. Very briefly, the monsters really only show up for about 2 minutes at the most, and that's about it. Everything else is a boring YA drama with the most annoying characters ever. The bit bad so far that I can tell from these 4 episodes is the monster blood, similar to how Slappy was in the first season. But the monster bloods was transforming everything, but it's not really acting like monster blood. In the 4th episode, titled Monster Blood, the girl drank it, and monster blood, okay, like that dog, if you eat it, drink it, it's supposed to make you as big as a house. Here, it just made her go kind of nutty in the head because they didn't have the money for the budget. And so her head is spinning, like not spinning around, but she's like shaking her head, and the cameras are shaking around, and there's this weird filter because they have no budget. They literally have no budget this season. And then all of a sudden, when she threw up the monster blood, she threw it up and went down in the sink. And when it came out, because see, the monster blood this season is black and not green like it's supposed to be. And so it was black when it went in her body. It was black when it came out her body. But when it went down the sewer and came out, all of a sudden it was brown. Very similar to the blob in like the original television series. And it came at her kind of like a blob. And she even called it a blob. Because, you know, she don't know what monster blood is because they haven't explained it yet. And so, like, I'm just like, why? It kind of had that monster blood oozing around, going around rooms type of thing. But it looked more like the blob. Why was it brown? Why wasn't it black? I don't get that. And the monsters get defeated very quickly this season. And it's just kind of like they did the same thing with the plants so far. Like in Stay Out the Basement, the monster blood touched like a plant, but then the plant was moving on its own for some bizarre reason. They mixed. They wrapped around one dude's body, and that's about it. Drove him into the sewer, and then, like, you know, he came on out, and then it just went away. But then the spores was inside the dad's arms, and when he cut his arm out, which was pretty neat, and he pulled out this plant out his arm, he put it in like a freezer. This one bully of a boy went into the freezer. It pulled him in there. So I'm like, okay, he's probably gonna come out like a clone version of, like, you know, the plant from Stay Out the Basement, right? No, he came out looking like the mud monster from You Can't Scare Me, with a completely terrible looking costume. You can literally tell it's a costume. And I'm just like, why is he the mud monster? Why isn't he a plant? There was no mud in like the freezer. There was a plant substance in the freezer. So why wasn't it that? And it just doesn't make no sense. Also, the monster blood also comes out as like dust type spores, and sometimes it oozes, and it's just like, why does it have two different forms for? And you know what's really sad is when the 90s television show episodes that these are based off of is more creepy and a bit scary and spooky than this updated version. It's been 30 years, and a 30-year-old kids cartoon, not cartoon, but a kids live action series is more spookier and a bit more scarier with its outdated costumes and outdated special effects. Even the mud monster from the original series looked way better than what the heck they gave us in this thing. The plants were a bit better because they could do better with the CGI, so that was a good thing. I'll give them that. But the idea of stay out the basement is only really in name, only in a few references. They completely butchered that episode, the two-parter in this new thing, and I am furious as a result of that. The dad's not a mad scientist. He's not a clone plant. It's nothing like the original series. And I'm done with this crap. I don't care if it gets renewed for a third season or not. I'm never coming back. I don't know who to blame, Disney Plus or Sony, but like, because both of them apparently made this, but this is literally garbage in there. Oh, it's cold tonight. I can't get my words out. It's literally garbage. I'm not even joking. It's literally, how is a 30-year-old kid show better than this? That don't make no sense. This is supposed to be an updated, more mature, better CGI show, and it is not. And I fell for this crap again. But you know, at least season 1 has some interesting episodes and stuff. This is literal crap. I don't like this. I can't get the word literally out because my mouth is frozen. But this sucks, man. This is horrible. Like, this is really horrible and stuff. And the characters aren't making it no easy because I don't like none of these characters. They're either dorky, boring, or they're like stuck up bullies or whatever, and it's just they're boring. And that blonde girl needs to learn how to act. I'm sorry, but the blonde girl gets way too much dialogue and she can't act. And I was excited going into this season. I really was, but I was worried at the same time. So where I hit the play button, I was like, Lord have mercy. I looked up at the ceiling. I said, Lord have mercy. Every time I go to watch an episode, because I know I'm going to be disappointed. And boy, am I disappointed. It's not Goosebumps. It's really just YA drama teen stuff. I'm not here for that crap. I wasn't here for it in the first season, but at least that YA stuff was a bit interesting. Here, it's the same crap. They actually duplicated the formula for the first season. What's that formula? Oh, well, here it is. It's YA drama stuff. There's like a love triangle going on. There is like an overachievement, like, you know, student who's supposed to be like really smart. And the parents somehow know something from the past that happens to be in the 90s. And the kids got to deal with this crap. And there's like a goosebump monster that's the overall villain and making all the other goosebump monsters come to life. That is the literal formula from the first season. And it's a sucky formula at that. And I literally facepalm myself as I'm watching the 4th episode. And I don't want to finish either. I don't even want to finish the series. But I'm a trooper. I'm going to see what the heck this is all about and everything, you know. But it's just, this is not Goosebumps by no way, shape, or form. Now, when it comes to the 3rd one, where the car goes like insane and all that, there's never been an original series of that. It's just a book. So I don't know what the heck happens in that. So going in with fresh eyes, I'm like, okay, that shouldn't be bad. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm going in with fresh eyes. I don't know what to expect. It sucked. It sucked. Like, basically, it's this girl, and she kind of got framed a little bit for setting the house on fire. Her mom's a cop. Nobody will believe her. There's a boy who actually set the fire. So she's trying to get a confession out of him. She chases him, well, she steals this boy's car. The boy that turned into the mud monster and disappeared. She stole his car. She gets the other girl in the car with her, and she drives and chases after the boy. But then, the car goes insane, and the car is literally trying to kill like the boy and everything and run him over. No, the boy is on a bicycle and he's in front of them. The other girl is able to crash the car, and the boy gets away, right? Several minutes later, the car fixes itself and drives off with the one girl. And somehow this boy doubled back around on his bike, took a car, and now all of a sudden he's behind the girl in the monster car and stuff. How the heck did he double back that fast on a bike and get his car and know where this girl is going to be at? The plot armor of people just finding people out of nowhere here is insane. And so he tries to crash her car. She ends up telling him, oh, the car is possessed and blah, blah. And then somehow she gets out by getting out the trunk. And then the car goes over in the river. It dissolves and turns back into the monster blood. And then that's basically the episode and stuff. And then in the monster blood episode, like, I'll go by each episode and talk about what they're about and everything. Oh, Lord Jesus, I don't want to. But and it's just kind of like, if this isn't Goosebumps, don't call it that. Because there are some diehard fans out there that really love Goosebumps and want to see an updated version of it. But then yet you do this YA crap. And then you only give us Goosebumps in name. And you don't give us what we want. It really pisses me off. But you know what? It's not that hard to remake an original and make it more mature for a new audience because it's been done before. It was done in the Goosebumps movie where it was basically Goosebumps Jumanji and everything, and somehow they did it. Because they did it by having a completely different characters, and all the Goosebump books came to life, the monsters came alive, and the monsters terrorized the city. That was the premise of basically the first two movies. Somehow that worked. But if you want to go a step further, Nickelodeon already did that. They rebooted Are You Afraid of the Dark? And they did it in 3 seasons. And even though I don't like the first season, the second and the third was actually good. The second is very scary. Surprising because one, it's a reboot, two, it's a kids show. And, but they was able to spook the crap out of me and everything. And the third one was just as good, but the second one was better. They even added elements from the original, like, Are You Afraid of the Dark? By having a group of kids go sit around, initiate them, telling the story and stuff like that, like a scary story. But they incorporated the original series without adding any of the original characters. But what they did was they brought in references from the previous series, tying it in and letting you know, hey, even though in the original series, all that spooky stuff was just ghost stories told by a bunch of kids who like ghost stories, it wasn't ghost stories. It was real. That's how the new series did that. And they made it spooky. They kept the cast very young looking, like it's supposed to be in the show, like it's kids and teenagers and tweens and stuff. And somehow it worked. Here is nothing like that. In the original Goosebumps, it's kids and it's tweens. And so, like, in the rebooted series, it's teenagers, but teenagers played by adults. And in the original one, it was kids and preteens played by kids and preteens. You get that sense of horror because of all this spooky stuff happening to a bunch of kids and nobody wants to believe them. Now it's different because you got these older looking teenagers and nobody will believe them. And you don't feel that scared for them. Like, seriously, like the suspense and special effects just ain't doing it. So let's get real fast into who some of these characters are. And then I go by episode to talk about what they're about and also the contrast of what they was like in the original series or the books because they renamed some of their classic books. Like instead of like the ghost next door, now it's the girl next door. Instead of the girl who cried monster, now it's the boy who cried monster for some bizarre reason. There's Anthony, he's played by David Schwimmer from Friends. And so he's a botanist who family moves back into his old mom's house. Very similar to kind of how like the new guy moved in from season 1. And so his mom has dementia. His brother Maddie went missing in the beginning of like the episode. So he is kind of like the botanist, but he's not a mad scientist like the other dude from like the original series and stuff. And he has 2 kids that are twins. He's separated from his wife or divorced. And they used to pretty much live with her. So everybody is a stereotype based on that of their race, and I cannot stand it. You have that of Cece, who is like, you know, the overachieving, like, you know, preppy type girl who couldn't get into some kind of debate thing that she wanted to, so she lied. And then she started stealing from a store, but it's never explained why she's stealing from like a store. She's so annoying, and like, I don't know, man. It's just like the actress just isn't doing it for me, acting wise and stuff. Her brother Devin is like the dork who wants like the hot girl, and he's the one who's mainly motivated into trying to figure out what's going on and stuff like that. You have Alex, who is like Latina, and of course they make her like the juvenile delinquent and everything, which I cannot stand. So basically, she was hanging out with some people. This guy wrapped fireworks around her hand, like taped it, and it set the house on fire. She got blamed, and nobody ever believes her, not even her mom. And I hate the fact that she's a stereotype of like, you know, being a criminal and stuff. But then it's revealed she's also done some other criminal stuff in her past, which also makes people not want to believe her. See, Disney's going back to the way they used to be. Hollywood and everything. All these stereotypes. And if you don't believe me, look what they're doing with Pixar and stuff. She's also a lesbian and crushes on Cece in a later date. Her mom is Jen, and her mom used to be a bully when in high school. Surprise, surprise, because she's Latina. And then she grew up to be like a cop and stuff like that. She used to date Maddie, and like she hid the tape that like explains what happened to Hannah, who is based on Hannah the ghost. Then there is Trey, who is Afro-Latino and stuff. And you know, I have to give it up, you know, for the rebooted stuff. They have a whole lot more people of color than the original, because I said before, the original was pretty much all white. And then whenever it came to people of color, they was like barely in it. And so this season has like a lot of black and a lot of Hispanic people, but this time no Asian, which is kind of odd because last season, I don't think they had any Latinos last season. But anyway, he's your stereotypical bully and everything. And which I hate because he's Afro-Latino and stuff like that. And because, you know, the actor is from Iceland and his mom is like Cuban or something like that. And so, like, he is the stereotypical bully. He, like, beats up, like, the new kid because the new kid has a thing for his ex-girlfriend. He thinks he can control his ex-girlfriend and everything. You know, he's really good at working at cars. And, like, it's just like he does this whole thing where he's all rough and tough one minute and disrespectful to even adults, but then as soon as you step up to him and everything like an adult will, then all of a sudden he turns into like this cowardly like goofball and stuff. And I just hate how this season has so many stereotypes. And his father, who is Latina, is just as rude. There's CJ, and he's like a delivery boy. And like, he is a stereotype in the fact that every time he delivers food, he eats it because, you know, black people are always eating food and stuff. And like, he's also a coward. When he heard like Frankie scream, He did not want to investigate, like, oh man, I'm gone. I'm not dealing with that. And so, of course, the white savior of the show had to go and investigate. I hate these stereotypes. Also, I'm not kind of sure what kind of restaurant his family owns because they're always selling egg rolls, and that's Asian, but he also serves like dumplings and all kinds of other stuff. So I guess it's like a fusion type thing or something like that. There's Frankie. There's not much about her. She's the hot Spanish girl who dates the bad boy. And that's the typical hot girl for you. Always wanting to date the bad boy. So she dates like Trey and everything. But then later, of course, because this is Hollywood, the hot girl goes for Devin because, you know, he's the dork and stuff like that. She's the only one who doesn't get like a solo episode and stuff, which is bizarre. They're the kids who disappeared from the past. Maddie is the brother of that of Anthony, and he calls him Stink. And so basically, he's just like another stereotype where he's kind of like the dopey white boy who's not going to achieve much when he gets older and just wants to be like, you know, the good looking dude who gets like all the girls and stuff like that. That's literally like his personality and stuff. And so him and his brother are very close. And, you know, he goes missing when the monster blood like consumes him and stuff, and the rest of the others. Shamir and Nicole don't really have much of a personality or much to do because they're part of the kids that like go missing. Nicole's a valley girl and like, well, a little bit of an alternative streak to her. And Shamir is just a sarcastic guy who just doesn't care and wants to get stuff over with. Now, the interesting thing about the actor who plays Shamir is that he was in Are You Afraid of the Dark season 2, the reboot. And so he's been in both two different reboots of Goosebumps and I know Are You Afraid of the Dark. And his co-star from there's another Are You Afraid of the Dark actor, I forget his name, but he was in the Goosebumps second movie, he was in season 1 of the reboot, and he was in the It movie, so they share that in common. This version of Hannah is based on Hannah the ghost. And so this Hannah is completely different and stuff. So basically, she's the new girl at school and Maddie likes her, and that makes Jen jealous even though they're broken up. They hang out and like all the kids go missing. And so when the kids go missing, the monster blood puts them in like pods and everything, alien pods. And somehow it's never explained she's able to astral project herself from the pod and talk to that of Devin. But when she does, she puts them in a trance. And when she puts them in a trance, she has an ulterior motive. She's kind of like evil and everything. And so she brings them on over to the fort, which they call Camp Nightmare for some bizarre reason. And so like at first she wants him to jump with her over the ledge, but then she's like, no, I don't want you to. But then it's just, that's basically her. She's nothing like the ghost Hannah from the old series or books and stuff. Like nothing whatsoever. And the big twist of what the monster blood is, Dr. Ramana. So she is the doctor who, along with a bunch of other scientists and her father, who were tasked with studying the alien like ship. And so like a bunch of her entire colleagues just got like taken by like the ship and like the monster blood, and so was her father. So she is the mysterious lady about 60 years later who went to go check on Trey pretending to be like a doctor. She is technically our mad scientist, but she only did it to save her father, not knowing that it will screw everybody over in the world. But like she literally traps our cast of characters and everything below, and it's just like, why did she do that? Why did she turn evil? Like it's never explained. But oh, it's a twist. That's not a real R.L. Stine twist. So after watching like all the episodes and stuff, okay, first of all, when Trey turned into that mud monster thing, they keep calling him a plant man, but he didn't have plants on him. There were no leaves, no nothing. He was literally a mud monster, so I don't get that. But anyway, The monster blood, technically, yes, is the main villain, but it's not really monster blood. It's alien blood. There was a spaceship that fell in 1969, and it's all black and kind of symbiote type, like, like Venom and everything. And so the government went to go investigate it at the fort. And the fort is also known as Camp Nightmare. The government came in, they did what they did. And so the monster blood is just ooze secretion from that of the aliens. So there's like an alien invasion in the last episode, episode 8. This is why episode 8 does not have a title, because there's a twist. And it turned out these were aliens all along. In Goosebumps, they have tons of alien races. But which alien race turns human into the aliens that they are? Invasion of the body sneezers. This is where the budget went to make them look realistic. And yes, they look very realistic and stuff. But they don't talk, and they have a different design. And they're more like creatures, and they don't make no sense when they attack. So basically, when their monster blood gets you, it dissolves your body, oozes you down into the basement type, not basement, but the laboratory that's underground the fort, and you get put in a pod. If you stay there for too long, then you turn into that of like a whatchamacallit. You get turned into like one of the aliens. At first you don't. First, when you get out the pod, you're human and you're normal, but then you turn into one. You throw up, the throw up wraps around your body into a pod or a cocoon, and you turn into that of like an alien. This don't always make sense. And now I'm remembering, this is why Hannah could talk to Devin and nobody else, because he was half transformed when the ooze touched him, but he wasn't fully. And so he has a connection to everybody else because they have like telepathy and everything. And so when the dad gets infected by it, it literally turns him into a completely different person, where he acts like a different person. And he kind of snaps into it, snaps out. So they kind of doing that whole, okay, he's the plant man twin and stuff like that. It's not really all that explained well. This alien secretion can basically just do whatever to people or objects, and they turn to like whatever. So why didn't Cece have half turned? Because she swallowed the stuff, for crying out loud. They're trying too hard to combine all these monsters together with the monster blood, and I'm just not buying it. It doesn't make sense why it would do something completely different for one person and then completely different for another, but then when they need the alien invasion, they all do the same thing. Then if they spray something on you, like the one doctor lady, Dr. Romana, it just turned her in. So I don't get it. And there's a way to kill them, because she worked on like a solution to kill them, and they just turn to ash when you shoot them with a tranquilizer dart type thing. This don't make no sense, and you can tell it was affected by like the writer's strike. But let's get into every episode and stuff like that. So the first 2 episodes, stay out the basement. So basically this new family, they moved back into town because they live on the other side of like New York. And Anthony is the father, played by David Schwimmer. He just moved back into his mom's house because she has dementia and he has to take care of her. He's divorced from his wife, which, by the way, all the kids this season only have one parent that we see on screen. Technically the twins have like a mom, but we never see her, even though Cece goes back to her mom's apartment at one point. And so like he said, he has like one rule: stay out the basement, but he shows them what's in the basement, and it's absolutely nothing but a laboratory for botany. Just a normal lab with purple like fluorescent lights. Not scary whatsoever. So they're getting acquainted with all the people in town, because I'm pretty sure the kids are new to this part of town and they don't know like nobody, right? But already they're having problems with Trey across the street because he keeps parking his car and like near their house and driveway and stuff, and it's pissing Anthony off. And so basically, what's his name? Devin the one twin, he starts to crush on a girl at school by the name of Frankie. Now, the problem with this is that Frankie, he was dating Trey, but they broke up. But they've been dating for the longest time. Now, there's nothing really to like Frankie. She's just a nice girl and she's like really attractive. And so I'm pretty sure they never knew each other at the start of like, this episode. But they just like, he just seen her at school and started crushing on her. Well, eventually his flirting, his dorky flirting does work with her somehow. And it pisses off that of like Trey, to where Trey beats up like Devin and stuff. And so at one point, like all the kids decide, okay, they're gonna go down to the fort down below, and Trey starts messing with some stuff to kind of mess with like Devin, and it activates like this hidden passage in like a sewer system, and then that mist comes up that like sprayed them kids from like long time ago, 30 years ago. And so anyways, when they go back home, some of that stuff, well, actually, to tell you the truth, at some point Anthony gets back his brother's hoodie, right? And it has residue on it, like spores and everything. And so all of a sudden, after 30 years, now all of a sudden he's starting to investigate what happened to his brother. Why didn't he do it before? So all of a sudden he's just like, oh, I see some weird like stuff on his hoodie. Let me investigate that. So he starts putting it under a lab and it like attacks him and stuff. It bonds with that of a plant, and it's basically monster blood bonding with a plant. It wraps vines around him. And so, like, then it wraps vines around his son and drags his son down in the sewer system. After a while, his son is able to defeat the plants by throwing a brick at, like, a lever, and it closes, like, a gate or a doorway and crushes the plants. Like, just like that. Like, he's so gifted to throw that it hit the gate and it just crushed it. That makes the plant stop, like, interacting, and his dad kind of freaks out, right? And so his dad has these weird like little pod things growing from like his forearm. So he starts to like cut it out, and then he pulls out like a plant, kind of like a pitcher plant almost. And so like he puts it in the freezer. Now, at this point in time, him and Trey have been getting into it. He smashed Trey's windows. So I started to think to myself, maybe the plant is affecting him, or maybe he's a clone. No, he's just a regular dad, just pissed off. But he went to the extreme. So because of that, Trey decides to break into his lab and trash it and stuff. When he goes into the freezer, something pulls him inside. And then out comes the supposed plant monster, Mudman looking thing. They keep saying Trey turned into a plant monster, but he looks more like the Mudman. So he attacks Devin, and he attacks that of Frankie. And so they hit like a lever, and the car smashes on top of Trey, killing him and everything, or so we think. After that, like, his entire body just like disintegrated, and the monster blood went down into the sewer. So they thought they killed Trey and everything, right? And so like that's basically the entire episode. But Trey actually didn't die. He just went down in the sewer and is completely butt naked and stuff. And yeah, the monster blood literally transforms your body. And even if you die, you really don't lie, even though your molecules and your body smash into like a million pieces. And so I'm all like, okay, so there's no real plant monster. There's no real clone of the plant monster. That like, and then the whole Devin and Frankie thing, their relationship just like started to happen. But then once the whole Hannah thing comes in, he completely forgets about like Frankie, and she completely forgets about him. Well, what happened to this huge love triangle and stuff? The writers did not do a good job with that, because as soon as Hannah comes in, then all of a sudden they drop that angle. Oh, something I forgot to mention. So when Devin went to go visit his grandmother, at one point she grabs him and acts all crazy, talking about, you smell like Maddie and all this other stuff. And That's because he got sprayed with the same monster blood mist that Maddie did. And it's like, how would she know that? Because like when Maddie got sprayed by that mist, the monster blood literally consumed his body and took him down below. She never was around him after all that happened. And so it made you start thinking, okay, maybe she's connected to like the paranormal, maybe she's like a seer or something like that. But it's never brought up again. This is how inconsistent and incompetent the writers are. There is no real level of fear or suspense or anything like that. However, in the original, what it's about is that this family has this father, and for months he's been acting differently. He's been down in his lab nonstop. And so, like, it really affects that of his daughter, who's very close with him. And so his behavior is just like erratic and very angry. And so it turns out that the reason why he's been acting this way is because his DNA bonded with a plant he was working on, and it created a clone, like a plant monster thing that looks just like him, but is very angry and wants to turn the entire world into like plant people and stuff. That is the huge like shocker. And not only that, but what makes it a memorable episode is like the dad himself. He is mean, and I mean he is mean, so mean he scared the crap out of me and everything, because he literally looks like he's gonna jump from the screen, pull his belt off, and beat the crap out of you. That is how mean this dude is and stuff. And it's that level of fear that makes that episode so great. Here on this rebooted version, it's just lame. It's about 20 something minutes, and then all of a sudden, like the scary stuff starts to happen, but it's not really scary. Now, take a look at these two right here. The one on the left is from the 90s series with no budget. The one on the right is the Disney Plus with a huge budget. How in the heck did the one on the left from the 90s look more creepy, scary, and spooky than the one on the right? That's the whole stay out the basement mad scientist botany lab. Because in this version, he's not a mad scientist. But they couldn't even bring the horror. They couldn't even give us no spookiness looking. Purple lights are not scary. This is an embarrassment. This is why I've been ranting this entire time. I've been trying to control myself not to scream and shout because I don't want to be one of those type, but I can't help but to talk negative. Because the one on the left looks a million times better than the one on the right. They should be embarrassed. And just like I said with season 1, the settings are boring. The setting in the rebooted version is very similar to The Haunting Hour. It's a real, natural, normal looking neighborhood in suburbia that looks pretty pleasant. In the older the older Goosebumps series, they sought out locations that look creepy and scary. Places that looked abandoned. They had music that set the tone. The music in here sucks, and the end credit music is stupid. This is not Goosebumps. This isn't even really Goosebumps for like a new generation. This is just a generic crap. Episode 3, The Haunted Car. Let me make a real quick correction. It's actually summer, so the kids didn't meet in school, they just met around town. But it's funny, it's supposed to be summer, but yet everybody's always wearing coats, and there are like no leaves on the trees. They couldn't correct that themselves? Now, like I said before, I've never read the book on this, and they never made it into a TV episode back in the day. So this is an Alex episode, and the only thing we know about Alex in this episode is that she was hanging out with a group of bad kids, and this one boy like wrapped the firecracker around his hand with tape and this other boy hand, and they were playing like chicken or something like that. It caused a building to burn down, but only she got caught for some reason. Why was she the only one who got caught? Nobody knows, because they won't explain in this show. The writers got to do a better job. So, okay, so it's like, all right, So she's this innocent girl, and everybody in town doesn't like her. Nobody trusts her because of that, and her mom doesn't trust her. So it's like, okay, we can get sympathetic with her, right? No, we can't, because in this episode, she sees Trey's car and decides to steal it. And so it's like, well, hold up, I thought you were supposed to be innocent. Then she later reveals, okay, she's done a couple of minor stuff that was like bad and got her in juvie, and it's just like, writers, you gotta do a better job. Are we supposed to sympathize with her or not? You know what I'm saying? Because she is an actual criminal. So they failed in that regard. And so she wants to track down this guy who actually set the thing on fire. But for whatever reason, she wants like Cece to go along with her. Now, when Cece sees her, she's flirting with Cece, but Cece could care less, and Cece's just being rude to her and everything. Very, very rude and nasty and stuff. And I'm pretty sure they never knew each other beforehand. And so, like, she blackmails Cece because she recorded, like, when Cece stole. So Cece goes with her and tells her, hey, look, what's going on and how she can't go in there because that boy will take off running. So anyways, like, the boy comes out and then he takes off on his bike, right? So Alex decides to like go full steam with the car and go after him. But then all of a sudden the car is possessed by the monster blood and her foot is stuck on the accelerator. It's driving out of control and Cece is freaking out thinking she's a maniac. So she nearly kills the dude until Cece was smart enough to grab the steering wheel and, wreck into a pole. So Cece's like, oh, you're a maniac, you're crazy, blah, 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 stuff like that. And she just like takes off and leaves her cup behind with juice in it, right? And so like, then the car goes back out of control. And then, like I said before, it chases after that boy. Somehow this boy managed to double around, hop into a car, and then know exactly where Alice was going to be at and starts ramming her from behind. So she tells him, hey, look, I got no control over this car, and it's like possessed. And then he kind of looks concerned, but he could care less. She thinks quick enough to like, get in the back seat and into the trunk and jump on out. And the car goes over in the river. And so like, it dissolves and everything, but she managed to grab Cece's cup before it goes over because she wants to give it back. Aww. So then her mom comes over and is like, yo, what's going on? You got the ankle monitor, blah, blah, blah. And so her mom decides to be nice and speed on home before it's her curfew. So like, that's really basically the entire episode and some other stuff. They finally find Trey, because Anthony went down in like, the fort down below and went to go investigating like what was going on with him. And he found a naked Trey. And somehow Anthony just happens to have a giant blanket with him. That's convenient plot armor. And so, Dr. Ramana pretends to be like a doctor and all this other crap. And that's basically really the episode. I don't have nothing to reference this to, and I don't feel like looking up what the haunted car is really about in the book. So I doubt it's anything similar to that. Episode 4, Monster Blood. And this is when I really just got bored and recorded my intro. And I couldn't take it no more. I was face palming myself and just like everything, right? This is a Cece episode, and so Cece's an overachiever, and she couldn't get into her debate club thing, and so she lies to her family and becomes a kleptomaniac. I'm assuming that's why she became it, because they never explain why. Now, when it comes to the actress, her acting, I just can't. She has like 50 million facial expressions in like 10 seconds. And it's like, yo, just chill, relax your face. It's better just to have a still face and give out your dialogue, because everything else is okay. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, Alice gives her back her cup and she decides to fill it with water and drink it. She doesn't even clean the cup. It's still dirty from yesterday and dirty from being in the car. That's disgusting. Anyway, she drinks the monster blood. And she kind of spazzes out similar to what her brother did, and it's really cheap effect. So after that, she throws up the monster blood in like the bathroom, and the monster blood decides to come back up, but now it's brown instead of black. And it comes after her, kinda like the monster blood from the older series, but more like a blob. And it reminds me more of the blob from that one, the Blob 8 era thing, right? And so somehow the monster blood messed with her brain and she went back to her mom's house. So she calls like Frankie and her brother. And I kid you not, they get to her within 1 minute. But they're all like they are very, very, very far away. Their mom does live in New York, I believe, but like on the other side of like New York, like very, very far. I think they took the subway train and I guess it got there lightning fast. I've never been on one, but I'm assuming they got there lightning fast. So she's running all through the hotel. The monster blood's trying to get her. She's in like, the elevator and is messing with the elevator. When she's in the elevator, she's laying down and instead of getting up and touching on her finger, she's kicking it with her feet. And this part would have been cool if the monster blood looked a whole lot better. It just looks like pudgy blobby stuff. And so like in comes like her brother and like Frankie and they save her and she's all like, this blob tried to get me, blah blah. So of course once the blob got defeated, it went back down into the sewer. And I'm just kind of like, that's it. Like we finally get to see the monster blood truly in action after all these episodes, and that's all we get. And at some point in time, her and like Alex, they like hook up and get together, right? Which is kind of like odd because it's like, when did she start liking Alice? Because she was really rude and nasty, and she thought Alice tried to like kill her and stuff. But now, since the blob tried to get her, she's all like, "Oh, now I forgive you, and now I believe you." But Alex don't want to hear nothing. And it's just it's the same thing with Frankie and Devin. It's like none of them have any chemistry together, but yet they're just like a thing. So it's like whatever. Oh, I completely forgot in episode 4. So like Cece, after she drank the monster blood, she needed some water to drink because something wasn't right with her. And there I saw it. Voss water. The Rock's pee-pee water. I'm so sick and tired of seeing his water pop up everywhere. It was in Pitch Perfect 2. It was in Smile 2. It's in this show, the second season. What's up with the number 2? And everything. And so of course this is the famous water bottle that the Rock company makes. He makes his own water and he pees in water bottles when he's on set. So now every time I see this, I think, oh, it's the Rock's pee water. So they must have cut him a big check to put it in there and have her drink it. Now the Rock, like I said before, he made some deal with Disney where he's supposed to be making a bunch of movies and stuff. I guess this is part of the deal to put Voss water in their IPs and stuff. Like, Jesus, I'm gonna be seeing this crap a lot. So I forgot to mention just how CC destroyed the monster blood. So when she was running through the house, she grabbed her taser and started electrocuting it. But it had no effect on the monster blood whatsoever. It didn't slow down, it didn't get hurt. So then when she was in the subway station, which by the way, it was completely empty except for her, Frankie, and Devin. Like, this is when I started to notice there are like no people really in town because they're trying to save like the budget and stuff, right? And so also probably because like of the actor strike. So anyway, next thing you know, she's all like, maybe, if I get a bigger like taser, it will kill it. So she started running through like the tracks and she let the monster blood hit the third track and it got electrocuted and it was destroyed. And the thing is like, why didn't the monster blood go after Frankie and Devin? It only specifically went after her and her only. Same thing with the people in like the apartment building and stuff. This makes no sense because it's never explained why it goes after her and her only. Also, if the taser had no effect on it, what made her think that the third rail was? Because that will make you think, okay, it's impervious to electricity and stuff. But apparently, it destroyed it. This is what I'm talking about when I say the writers are inconsistent and the writers are incompetent. Like, they can't even write good, like, fiction and everything. You gotta explain things like that. Now, the Monster Blood episode in the original is more humorous than it is scary. But when you start to think about what the Monster Blood does, it starts to become scary. So it's just a bunch of kids, they're playing with it until they realize, hey, it's growing and it won't stop growing. And it oozes out and it's real oozy stuff. Like they filled it with something that just leaks out and it's cool. Now the CGI, when the blob gets a little bit bigger, that's a little cheesy, but hey, you know, that was the 90s, right? Now, if you eat monster blood, you're supposed to get really big. That's what happened to the dog, and that's what happened to the ant in the next episode. Yet, they don't show Cece getting big. And also, the monster blood came from like this witch who stepped in it and turned into like a cat and got stuck into like a jar or something. So there was like a backstory all with that. And then in the second one was like, you know, wasn't created by R.L. Stein. And basically, you know, the boy who had the monster blood, it got on like a little bit of his stuff and he was on a plane. Then the monster blood started eating like everybody. And so they're scared and all that. And they defeated it with like airplane food or whatever. It was pretty intense, not scary, but like intense, you know what I'm saying? And then it made like a little tiny ant like really big. And, you know, I'll take that over what the heck we got in this. Episode 5, The Boy Who Cried Monster, which is a reworked title. And it's like, you know, when it came to the car thing, why couldn't that be like Frankie episode, since her ex is the one who had the car, but hey, whatever. And so this is a CJ episode. So this is why now it's The Boy Who Cried Monster and not the other way around. And so they do try to give snippets of the original, like, you know, series and books. So basically, CC's always apparently telling ghost stories, which we've never seen him do until this very episode. He tries to scare a little girl. And so, like I said, he's always delivering stuff and he's always eating people's food. With him and his mom, he's all like, yo, I want to be a manager. I want to come up with ideas. So I do like that. He's not just a coward and he's not just a person who eats other people's food. He's taking the initiative. So, like, he goes to Anthony's house and Anthony has been possessed and is looking completely different. He's dressing different. He's talking different. This is foreshadowing the 8th episode, the body sneezers. Oh, also in episode 4, there's an Easter egg of Voorhees Hospital, as in Jason Voorhees and everything from Friday the 13th. That name is too good to be in this show. Anyway, so Anthony's acting weird and he kidnaps CC. Not CC, but CJ. And so I'm thinking, oh, maybe he finally did turn into that evil plant monster clone thing. And so, like, but then you see him talk to him in a weird, sinister kind of way, then a normal kind of way. And it's like, hey, which one are we getting? So when he comes back, CJ hits him and his finger twists back. And it's like, whoa, what's going on? He has to be that plant thing, right? Anyways, he's getting ready to, like, I guess, and then they do more nods to Stay Out the Basement. So in Stay Out the Basement, the dad had green goo coming out a cut wound in his forearm. And he tried to make his kids eat that weird goo and stuff like that he created, right? Now in this one, he starts spitting up black goo and he wants CJ to eat it. He's like, nah, man. So he's getting ready to swallow it until the kids come in with a baseball bat and Frankie like knocks off Anthony's head. And you see like this weird stuff underneath it. And it's like, oh, he is that plant monster. No. So the kids hightail it and everything, right? And so Dr. Romana, she comes in and she decapitates all the limbs off Anthony's body, put it in a suitcase and takes it away. And she tells him, you've been infected with this like, alien goo or whatever, and I need to accelerate it and heat you up. So he starts like, melting and everything. This is really Anthony. It's not a clone, it's not a plant thing. They tricked us. Interesting how he's able to be discombobulated but still be alive and whatever. So anyways, Sarah, no, Jen, the cop lady who's Alex's mom, she was talking to Anthony. He's all like, yo, it's starting to happen again. So they're doing a whole thing where two of the parents at least knows what happened. So she goes and uncovers a tape that she hid when she was a teenager. She gives it to somebody, I forget who. I think maybe like one of the kids. And so they have to figure out, first of all, what the heck this thing is. So both the boys don't know what a VHS tape is. They can't even pronounce the name VHS. They're trying to like sound it out. Frankie is the only person who knows. So once again, they're doing this whole reference of kids not knowing what things are in the past. And the thing is like they're teenagers, but they talk like they're kids because they're trying to bring it back to the 90s. And when they talk like kids, it's cheesy. So they're trying to bring back the 90s cheese. It's not working. But I do get younger people not knowing what stuff is. That happened to me one time when I had like an older device and I needed like a teenager to use it because I was out and about somewhere. And they're all like, well, how the heck do I use this? I'm like, yo, there's a button right there. He's like, I thought it was touchscreen. I'm like, no. I was at like this event, like a festival, and I'm old school, right? I still use like a camera. I don't like taking pictures with my phone because my camera got better pixels and it costs a lot of stinking money. So I'm going to use it till it tears up. But I am starting to get kind of embarrassed now by having it because everybody whipping out their phones. I'm just kind of like, I feel like a grandpa. And it's just kind of like, I don't like taking pictures with the phone. I like looking stuff up on the internet on it. I like talking on it, but I don't like taking pictures with it. And so he couldn't even figure out where the button was. And he's trying to touch the screen in the back. And in my mind, I'm like, all right, it's time for me to start using my phone to take pictures. But I don't want to. So anyway, they go to Cece and Devin's grandmother, who has dementia, at the old folks home because they the only ones who have a VCR. And you would think Trey's father would have one because he's pretty old school, but nah. And so then, while this is going on, we get a foreshadowing to Hannah. Oh, I completely forgot. So something doesn't make no sense. If CJ has no idea what a VHS tape is and has never seen one before, then when it like jammed up, how the heck did he fix it? Because a lot of people from like, say like 2010s have never seen like film tape before. How would he know how to like get it out the VHS like perfectly so the film doesn't rip, then roll it back and everything? And yet he did all that but doesn't even know what it is and can't even pronounce it. See, this is how incompetent the writers are. And so, like, Hannah, she's like one of the kids that like disappeared, and she's talking to Devin and she's flirting with him and he's all into it, but he's in a trance. And so like, this and that. So anyway, as the kids are like watching the videotape, right, we find out exactly what happened to the kids that disappeared like 30 years ago. There's 4 of them. And so basically what it is Anthony and Maddie, they record everything with their dad's camera, right? It's kind of a nod to that first Slappy episode where the little brother takes a recorder and starts recording the entire family against their will. However, the problem with this is I actually like this. It's boring and it's nonchalant and there's nothing really thrilling about it, but it feels good for some reason. It's kind of like found footage, and that's basically what it is. And this was more interesting than everything that went on with the show. These four missing kids got better chemistry with themselves than this group and everything. And so, but this sequence goes on for way too long. It goes on for over 6 minutes, close to 10 and everything. And I'm like, man, this is a long flashback. And the problem is there's no cuts. The only time there's a cut scene is when they get to Hannah and then they go cut to where the real Hannah is with Devin. And they go back and then it's like another 10 minutes of all this found footage and stuff. And there's no cut scenes. You think you would hear Trey or like Alice be like, hey, that's my parent right there. But no, you don't hear none of that. And so basically it's just them at school. Is Devin and it's Maddie and it's Anthony talking about, I don't think dad likes me, blah blah, brother type stuff. They're bonding, they're at school, and they meet the new girl Hannah. Jen is like a bully who don't like her because Maddie is the ex and everything. They go down below, all that freaky stuff happens, and then Anthony goes and get Jen for some bizarre reason. And so, we see Hannah get taken away very violently, but we don't know about what, because we don't see. And so Jen is freaking out like, no, man, we can't be down here and all this other stuff. And there's footage of me threatening her and everything. So she hid it and stuff, right? So now the kids got a little bit more of a understanding of what the heck is going on. But then they all like, well, hold up. Devin said he's going to hang out with a Hannah girl. And they all like, could this be this Hannah? So somehow they find Devin in the next episode. Now, the girl who cried monster is a heck of a lot better and a heck of a lot more interesting. It's a little girl who like bullies her brother and always telling him she sees monsters. She loves monsters. She goes to the library and her librarian tries to make her read non-horror books. And she spies on him as he's eating bugs and he transforms into a monster. She goes back to tell her brother, her family, nobody believes her. So then they have another encounter where he chases after her and everything, the monster, back to her house, and she's scared and freaked out. So she's trying to get like proof and all this other stuff. But then the parents invite the monster man to their house. And so when the man's over there, he's all like, what's for dinner? And they're like, you are. And then the parents turn into monsters. And then it's like, wait, hold up. So the whole family is actually monsters the whole time, and you thought they was human. And their excuse is, they've been hunted for so many years and they haven't been hunted in like a long time. So whenever there's a monster in town, they kill it so that nobody will find out and start hunting them and everything and start looking for more monsters. It's an awesome twist and it's an awesome episode, and this was stupid. There's not much that goes on with this next episode. It's the girl next door. It's a retitled episode. So basically it's a Hannah and Devin episode, and they're talking, hanging out. They go to the fort that used to be called Camp Nightmare. And so she's trying to get him to jump over the ledge and everything with her for some bizarre reason. The kids have to save him. And then she's all like, no, Devin, I don't want you to come with me and blah, blah, blah. And it's a stupid episode. And it's just a stupid episode. It's just a stupid episode. Now, The Ghost Next Door is the title from the original, and it's about a girl named Hannah. We see the house burning down, and she's in it, and all of a sudden, everything's fine, and she keeps trying to contact her friend via, like, letter or email or some crap like that. Every time she tries to talk to somebody in town, they just pass her by, and there's only, like, this one little boy who will talk to her. And so, like, she thinks he's a ghost because he lives in this creepy house that burned down. Turns out she's the ghost and she has no memory of dying. And so he doesn't want to hang out with her. But it's this shadow ghost that's like a shadow, and it teaches her to be bad, how to haunt people. So she does that. But then she finds out his interior motive. He wants to take the Danny boy life. So Danny's supposed to die. The shadow wants to take his body, but Hannah's going to try to prevent it, but she's starting to fade away. But she's able to save Danny and stuff. Then her family comes and they go off to like the underworld. It's touching, it's cool, it is memorable. This episode is not. The seventh episode, Welcome to Camp Nightmare and everything. So this is another long flashback episode, and it has nothing to do with camp, except for Camp Night Moon people, which is the camp from the book and the show. They're at the fort, and they're like on a field trip, and their counselor's being a jerk. This is a nod to the book and the show because their counselor was a jerk. So next thing you know, the ship crashes down in the water, and like these tentacle type things grab him and he goes underwater. And so we get a flashback. And so it's like these group of scientists and they have to study this alien ship. The dude is trying to awaken the counselor dude who's in there and trying to kill the ship. So they use like rats and stuff like that. Well, when you try to wake up the person in the pod, it wakes up the ship and it starts attacking everybody. Dr. Romana is the only person who survived. The kids and the adults find out who she is, except for Anthony, because he's been like, pod and everything. And so they go to rescue Anthony and stuff. It's stupid. It's literally stupid. Welcome to Camp Nightmare. The show is a heck of a lot better. So basically it's like this, right? So it's actual summer camp and there's a group of kids that are there, and there's this one boy and he starts to notice that like some of the kids are getting hurt, and then the next day they end up missing. When he's trying to tell the counselors, they're all like, we don't know who that person is, but he know for a fact who, that person existed. So this constantly keeps happening where people are getting hurt, and then the next day they're disappearing, and the counselor act like they have no clue to who these people are. He thinks he's going crazy, but he knows he's not, and he knows something weird is going on. And it's also there's probably this monster saber thing on the grounds. And so he's all like, you know what, I'm just going to take a baseball bat and figure out what the heck is going on. He finds a bunch of letters that kids have wrote talking about how they're scared and they want to go home, and these letters never got sent home. When the counselor was looking for this girl, he talks to her and talking about how people disappear and people act like they don't know what happened to them. So it's this weird conspiracy going on. He goes to see what's going on so it doesn't tip them off that she's in this cabin. And so they give them a bunch of like crossbows and everything, talking about we're looking for this girl, she's missing and blah blah. So he takes the crossbow and he pulls it up on his superior like, yo man, camp time's over, like I'm done with this crap, you start telling me what's going on, I'm gonna fire. And so he's all like, what happened to like my friends? And he's all like, he starts naming all these people like, I have no recollection of who these people are. And he just shoots and everything. And turns out this is all an experiment, a government experiment. His parents are in on it. So apparently his parents are going on this huge exploration type thing, and they're going to be far, far away. And this facility is to train their son because they want him to go, but they can't tip him off or he won't be able to blend in when they do their covert spy type stuff, right? Then it turns out the place they're going is Earth. It's like, what the heck? They're aliens and they look human and stuff. That's like a crazy twist and stuff. To think these aliens about to invade Earth and everything. Now, the 8th episode has no title, but it's technically Invasion of the Body Sneezers. And so the kids are trying to help Anthony and stuff. And Dr. Romana, tells them like, look, I perfected my dad's formula, so you should be able to kill like the alien ship or the aliens or get the pod, blah, blah. But she only gives them one dart gun. And then she locks them in there for some bizarre reason. What's that reason? Nobody knows. I guess in case they fail and the aliens can't come out or whatever. But she doesn't know they're aliens yet, so it's not explained in the writer's stuff. So anyway, they save Anthony. And he couldn't understand what the aliens were saying because he's in like this pod and stasis, whatever. The ship starts to attack and they run and hide and they're able to escape. He sees the 4 missing kids along with the camp counselor from a long time ago and all the scientists. And so he frees all of them. And I'm all like, wow, that took 27 minutes. What the heck is the rest 20 something minutes going to be about? So then they find Dr. Romana, and she actually tried to save her dad. But he's all like, no, you have to, like, he couldn't finish his sentence. And then he turns into like an alien monster. He turns into a body sneezing, or whatever it's called, a sneezer type thing. And so the Jen and Anthony found that happening, and so it attacks them, and then they use the dart gun to get rid of it. So the kids have no idea. So the kids are trying to, get the 4 missing kids to adjust to the modern world and everything, right? You have Hannah and you have Devin flirting for real this time, but it's like, dude, she's like a 50-something-year-old woman trapped in the body of a teenager. What are you doing, Disney, Sony? And so, like, then the kids say, okay, we're gonna split up and we're gonna take these like kids around town, and then they all start turning into monsters. And so the kids get taken and stuff, right? Because when it sneezes on you, you turn into like a pot or some crap like that and go on the ground. It's not explained that well. So in a way, the 2 grown-ups come in and they actually save the day. Yes, it's actually the parents who saved the day in this Goosebumps series and not the kids. Now that's a twist right there. Now technically, sometimes the parents do save like the day in the older stuff, right? There's at least 2 episodes. The one with the whole what is it? My best friend's a ghost. The parents come in and save the day, and it turns out everybody on Earth is aliens that look human, but like the boy or the ghost they was chasing is actually a boy who can go invisible because he's the last human on Earth, and they put him in a slave colony. Then there's another one where the adults save the day, but I forget which one that is. Well, technically, no, it was actually, yeah, the Ghost Beach one. When the dude came in, the dog came in, scared the little ghost kids, and then the lightning hit it, and, and trapped them in the cave and stuff like that. But there's a couple where the parents actually do, or adults actually save the day. So after this, so this don't make no sense, right? This whole monster blood alien thing. So they released the alien ship into space because apparently they can talk to it telepathy wise, and it just wants to go home. That's the bit bad. They're not even gonna invade Earth. They just want to go home. And it's just like, well, if they're gonna go home, the big ship, then why does the alien spawns want to kill everybody and stuff, or at least turn everybody into them? Now, originally, I thought these were the creeps because with the body snatchers, from what I know, there's a boy, he's spying on his neighbor. Turns out the neighbor is talking different, sounding different because it's actually an alien in disguise. And so, like, I don't think the body sneezers turn into, like, can turn a human into them. So the creeps do, but everybody seems online think it's the body sneezer, so hey, I'll go with that. And so, like, the aliens didn't even want to harm nobody. They just want to go off into space, and that's what they did. And now they're gone, right? Now this one don't make no sense about all this monster blood stuff. I don't get how when it's mostly like mist or whatever and a little bit of ooze sometimes, and whatever it touches, it has a different effect on everything. That don't make no sense. At least with Slappy, he was magical, and that made sense as to why he could transform all this stuff into other things. Here, it makes no logical sense. Also, what I don't understand is when it had Trey and he got defeated and oozed down in the sewer, why did it let him go? Like, why did it let him go and go on to like the car and stuff? And how come he didn't get into like a pod? Also, how come he can't hear or see like Hannah or nobody else? Because he was half turned as well. So I don't get that. Like they're not keeping it consistent. And then it's like, Dr. Ramana. Oh, so this is what happened. I forgot to mention this. So after the alien ship went up, it took all the monster blood, and the kids are back to normal, right? The missing ones. But they're all like, hey, we have to leave. We can't stay here. Like, we're gonna leave for forever, forever. And so everybody that got turned into aliens just kind of walked into the light and disappeared. So it's like, okay, are they dead now? Like that's explaining anything. They didn't go on the alien ship. They're like dead and everything. And so it's like, how and why? It's not explained. And not only that, but like I said before, Dr. Ramana got sneezed on, so she turned into like an alien and she went with everybody else. Like that don't make no sense. Why didn't Anthony and the kids go too? Because they was in the pods, but they didn't turn into aliens. And it's just like, but the thing is, she was never placed in the pod. So how did she turn into an alien? This stuff needs to be explained better, but the writers are like, who cares? We don't care. And also, they broke R.L. Stein's rule. R.L. Stein's rule is that kids are not supposed to die in his book series. They can die, like, off screen before the book series begins, but while the book is being written, no kid ever dies. That's why no kid has ever died in his book series. They died beforehand, before the book was written, but never during the events as the book is going on. And now you got all these teenagers dying. Anyways, everybody's having a happy ending. So basically, Cece's gonna get into her little program thing somehow. I don't know how. Her and Alex are gonna do the long distance thing. Devin has decided he's gonna stay with his dad and date that Frankie. No, hold up now. So Frankie and Trey did break up, even though he said he loves her. It's never explained why she even dated him to begin with, because she's a really nice girl and he is extremely rude and a bully. And so they break up, and then she starts flirting with Devin and she starts liking him. But then when Hannah shows up, all of a sudden that storyline got dropped and she stopped liking him and he started liking Hannah. And then when Hannah is gone, now she's back to wanting to date Devin. They can't even write a good love triangle or a good like romance thing. At least season 1 did a better job of that. And so like everybody's gonna have their happy ending, right? But then all of a sudden Trey throws up and there's like alien pod goo stuff. He's like, oh, that's not good. So some of it must have stayed in him, either when he got turned into that mud monster, or better yet, when he was in the pod. But he was in the pod for a short amount of time. It is said when you stay there for a long period of time, it takes over your body. So why didn't anybody else turn into pods? Or maybe they do have that alien goo in them and it's not going to come out. So this is our cliffhanger, just like the cliffhanger in the last season. I'm sorry, I can't get into this series. Like, I'm done. I am done. I don't care if they get renewed for a 3rd season. I don't care. I'm not gonna watch. Like, I'm not gonna invest my time or money watching this lackluster Goosebumps show. And it has mixed reviews online from people that are talking about it. I haven't looked at the scores yet, but people on Reddit don't seem to like it. Some people on YouTube like it and some don't. And people on Twitter seem to love this season for some bizarre reason. But it's not good at all. And all those online outlets, they think it's like lackluster and stupid like I do. It's not even scary. But then again, the last episode was pretty good. The CGI on the sneezers was really good, and it started to make you a little creeped out. He's like, crap, dude, these things are going to kill them. But they get rid of them very quickly. None of the monsters stay in any episode longer than probably 5 minutes or less than that. Everything else is just a YA teen drama, and I'm sick of this crap, man. I don't understand something. Fear Street was able to also make it into a YA novel, but also give you lots of horror stuff to make you feel good about yourself. And it's an R.L. Stein property. But Netflix handled that and they brought the terror and the horror. Sony/Disney Plus is too scared to bring the horror and everything. And if they do, it's super watered down because Disney doesn't take risks and everything. And Sony is just Sony. And like I said before, Nickelodeon came out with 2 banger of a seasons when they rebooted Are You Afraid of the Dark? How, and they kept that very like kiddie. There was like middle school kids and a little kid. Trust me, that second season is spooky. How are they able to do that? But Disney Plus, with their budget and for adult content, cannot do that. This is an embarrassment, man. Like seriously, like there's been some other R.L. Stein adaptation stuff I've seen that I don't like. And this is one of those things. Like Disney Plus tried to adapt Just Beyond, another R.L. Stein property. It lasted for 1 season. I hope to God this show gets canceled. I really, really do. Like I hate saying that, but I honestly God wish it would just go away. And David Schwimmer, wow, I'm so happy to see Ross Geller again on television because I haven't really seen him in anything because I don't watch none of the other stuff he's in. He was boring in this, and that also made me just be like bored out of my mind. The only funny thing with him was when he tried to get the plant to eat the rat, and he just kept like poking the plant with the rat. That was actually funny, but that's not enough for me, like to say, "Oh, save this series." You know what I'm saying? And I'm tired of them not really adapting the books. They trying to combine everything together and mush everything together. And all fans want, because we've been asking about this for decades, just adapt the books. Adapt them in 2-part episodes that are hour long or a movie or something like that. That's all we want. Like, that's all we want. Now, I can't speak for the man himself. And of course, he's going to promote it because he's going to get some money. But did you notice that R.L. Stein himself didn't even cameo this season? He was in the live action movies. He was in season 1. He was in the original series. But he was nowhere to be found this season. Even he knew it wasn't worth his time. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.